Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What's up, Cleveland? How we doing tonight? Happy Friday evening, and welcome to the Block the Shot to Stop, your Blue Wire Network podcast about the 6-0. 6-0.
That's right. Tell them.
Cavaliers. Kevin, when we said, hey, we're going to do this show, we think this team's going to be pretty good. I don't know if I thought they'd be 6-0. I thought they'd be very good, but I don't know if I thought 6-0 start.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a bold prediction to go 6-0, but they're playing above expectations. We had, I wouldn't say lofty, but like pretty high expectations for this team, and they're definitely outplaying them now to the tune of being one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, City right here says, "Are we the best team in the NBA?" I'm listening to the conversation at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Skylar on his off day still hangs out in the chat. I love it. I love it. But yeah, so tonight the Cavs get a nice 120-109 victory at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse against Orlando. Of course, I know the first thing everyone's going to point out to is no Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. was not in this game either. But I don't know if that really would have made the Cavs lose the game. It certainly would have made it a better game, but
not the way they're playing. And we'll get into the game specifically. Really good performance by the Cavs, not the most exciting game, but like we'll definitely get into it. I want to throw a couple big picture things at you, Tim, like so far.
Please do.
Right? Okay. So let me tell you this I was going to ask this question one way. I was going to ask, how many quarters do you think the Cavs have been outscored this year? In 6 games, 24 quarters. How many do you think?
3?
6, but 2 of them were the 3rd and 4th quarter tonight. So it kind of screwed the stats. But honestly, more impressive is how many times do you think the Cavs were losing at the end of a quarter this year?
Ooh, 2.
Exactly 1 time they were down to the Pistons by 1 point.
That's right.
Quarter, or at the end of the first quarter. That is the only time they were trailing at the end of a quarter, end of a half, and obviously end of a game. That's how consistently, if not dominant, like just really good they've been.
I'll tell you what, man. In basketball, I've never really believed in home court advantage, specifically the NBA. Mm-hmm. But being there the other night at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse for the Laker game, there's something different about being there with that atmosphere, with that crowd, and just how much it really. I think every player feeds off of like a really great atmosphere. Don't get me wrong, but there's something different there, man. Even with it being a LeBron in town. It was such a great atmosphere, and the crowd was super into the game, and you could tell like how much the players were feeding off it. It was awesome, man. I've said this a million times. You know, I've been to the United Center. I know you've also been to the United Center. Yeah. I've been to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I've seen so many Pacers games. Think this is the best atmosphere I've ever seen in a basketball game. I've worked so many college basketball arenas in my career.
Yeah,
there's nothing like going to a game here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. Even if I wasn't watching on TV and couldn't hear it, I would believe you. But something that I think like one feeds the other is that crowd and the Cavs' first quarter performances.
Yes.
That's my other side. I did some real journalism. Big J.
Look
journalism
at you,
tonight, Sam. Like
Big K journalism.
The Cavs in 6 games are plus 44 in the first quarter.
And it shows. I mean, it shows. Yeah.
They're jumping on teams, especially the last 2 nights when they've played 2 of the best teams they've played, along with the Knicks. But like against the Lakers and the Magic, they were up double digits the majority of the first quarter against both of them. And So they're jumping on teams, and then they're playing consistent. They're not losing hardly any quarters, and it's getting to the point where and Skylar called it out in the chat about Mitchell playing career low minutes per game. It's because four of the 6 games the starters have been out of the game by 4 or 5 minutes left. That's a big reason for that. So to go along with the depth, but so yeah, just like, man, I mean, even tonight, like I said, tonight wasn't the most exciting game to watch, but it definitely didn't leave you any less excited about the Cavs for this year.
For sure, man. I think the huge thing that jumps out tonight is obviously Mitchell. He was terrific. We can pull the numbers up. I had it right in front of me, but my phone, of course, did the thing.
I got him for it. Mitchell had 22 in 22 minutes, and Garland had 25 in 28 minutes. So both of them super efficient.
What a week for Darius Garland, by the way. I know we're going to get to that a little bit, but Mitchell tonight, so he had 7, I think he had 15 at the half.
Yep.
And the first quarter was just finding his spots. That was my first time ever seeing him in person. And I do this thing where I joke with my friends, like my power rankings of best players to see live. And he's definitely pretty high on the list.
Yeah.
Just because when he is rolling and he's like, we always talk about like, yeah, he's decently athletic and he can dunk and he can just like in person, he looks so much more athletic than he does on television.
Sure.
Even from sitting sky high at the arena. But watching him tonight, and I understand he probably took full advantage of not having a full Magic lineup, but he's one of the best players I've ever seen at just getting on a roll and putting a team on his back and making things happen. And he did a lot of that tonight just to kind of get the team rolling offensively, especially because Jared Allen had 2 points tonight and he didn't have to score a lot of points either.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Mitchell hasn't had the collective stats because of not playing as many minutes and there being better depth on the team, spreading the scoring around. But the one thing he's done is has come out guns a-blazing, like Skylar and I talked about on the last podcast.
Yeah, you did. It was
15 in the first quarter against the Lakers. And I think, there's been other games already this year that he's come out and scored double digits in the first quarter to set the tone and everything. And he almost kind of does the opposite thing of a traditional point guard, which I know he's not, but a traditional point guard or guard will come in and want to set up their teammates, get them going and then score. Mitchell's kind of doing the opposite. He's coming out. He's like, I'll get us going. I'll score some points and then I'll help set everybody else up, and it's working beautifully.
The fact that every single guy on this team, we can say, oh, they're a pretty good playmaker, says a lot about where the Cavs are at right now, right? I mean, you look at Mitchell, like you said, he's got a lot of 22 and 5s. We've seen Garland just really, really, really elevate in that part. Like the more I talked about this a couple after the Knicks game with Skylar, where I said that when people were upset about the Cavs not doing a whole lot to improve their roster, really nothing to improve their roster besides getting a new coaching staff. I do think a healthy Darius Garland is all the difference for this team compared to last year. And you're seeing that quite a bit, especially this week between the Knicks game, the Laker game, and this game. He was fascinating this week.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna fine tune something.
Big K journalism.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna just fine tune something you said. The Cavs did a lot to get better this year. Just it wasn't bringing in new players.
Yeah.
They did. As you mentioned, bringing in the coaching staff, they brought in a scheme that more fits the players. They're like almost every player on the team is a little better than they were last year, at least. And so they did all kinds of things to be a better team. It's just the normal NBA thing is if you need to improve, I got to go out and trade for this guy or sign this guy or whatever. The Cavs are betting on continuity and development, and that bet is like paying off.
Yeah, I know that they lost to the Cavs the other night, but I think the Lakers are doing the same thing. I think that the other night does not make me less confident in the Lakers. Not that I was like Western Conference Finals contenders, but I just think the Cavs were just that much better, and you saw that quite a bit. And you're seeing that tonight. I mean, I know, like I said, I know people want to point to the fact that this player and this player weren't available, but Jalen Suggs was terrific tonight. I mean, he really was really good. 28, 8, and 7. Tristan Da Silva was really good. So I'm happy that they're going to find guys to kind of help try to fill out those Banchero minutes as much as possible. Franz and Mo are always going to be pretty good. But I really think that this win tonight is another one of those where it's, okay, a lot of people will look at the series last year, and if it does go to game 7, God knows what happens. And it almost makes you feel better again about where they stand amongst these Eastern Conference teams. We've talked about it quite a bit already. We can say a million times, we probably will say a million times how good they are. Yeah. And I thought that tonight you saw just the way that they could just kind of immediately took Orlando out of the game. You kind of mentioned just that the dominance in the first quarter and didn't let them get back into it. I know it was an 11-point game, but Luke Travers was playing at the end of the game. And that's, I love Luke Travers. Shout out Luke Travers. Awesome that he got some NBA minutes before he goes to the charge. But that's kind of what you want in these games, right? Especially when it's a team that you're probably going to be pretty close to the seeding with come the end of the year.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and you would have thought so. I mean, Banchero being out at least 6 weeks could affect that. They may, lose some seeding position from that. Yeah, I mean, definitely the Magic were shorthanded, and you normally say they're short one guy, but the Magic depend on Banchero more than the Cavaliers depend on any single player.
Right.
Because the Cavaliers are more a team, beat you from so many different ways, where Banchero, if they're going to win, he has to score 25 a night for the Magic. So obviously that hurts them, but you play who's on your schedule and you play who's
That's
on
all
the
that
floor,
matters.
and boy did they. And I wanted to call out one other guy and get your thoughts, since you weren't on the last podcast because you're at the game. Another really, really good game from Caris LeVert.
Dude,
he's 13-7 tonight, and that's following 16-6 the other nights. When you're getting 6-7 assists and double-digit scoring out of him on a nightly basis, like you got something going.
I don't know what the rest of the 6 men, the candidates are doing. I can't imagine they're having better years than he's having right now. And it's every game. It's like he goes and hits a couple threes, and he makes some really great layup where he's going downhill. And then he's also getting he's guarding really good players in the game. He's guarding LeBron in stretches the other night. And tonight he's guarding a few different guys. But I think he probably, again, don't have everything in front of me. I would say it's a good chance he's probably the best bet for 6th man of the year right now. I know Ben Matherin's had a pretty good year for the Pacers, but LeVert's definitely been better than him. And I love Mathurin. And he's just freaking lights out right now, man. So him, Ty Jerome, those two kind of being your bench guards, where we really had no idea what to expect from Ty Jerome. We talked about that all preseason. Yeah. And now we're like, oh man, Ty Jerome's a huge part of this Cavs team.
Yeah, no. And you're right. And they're getting contributions from 10 guys. It makes you think when Strus does come back, who loses minutes, and does Dean Wade, continue to start or not? That's a conversation. He's a few weeks from coming back, so let's have that conversation down the road a bit and just enjoy how it's going right now. But yeah, no, I mean, Ty Jerome, you called out another one that was right. Okoro had 9 points tonight. He's just playing less than you would expect, but being solid. Merrill hit a couple of threes. He seems to every game. Just all around. And like you said, Jared Allen was their best player Wednesday night. And then tonight he had 2 points and they won going away. It's a really, really good sign for this team.
There's something about that group. And I think that a lot of people, I sent you guys a text that made me laugh really hard about Sam Amico posted that I guess he talked to a scout, where the whole conversation has been consistently, well, the Cavs won't be able to do anything come the playoffs because they have 2 bigs. And the scout tells Sam Amico, those 2 bigs are the reason I think the Cavs are going to go to the finals. So, and again, everyone's got a different eye, but I really do. And I'm not trying to say like NBA finals, let's hang the banner. Let's play in the parade in June, but there is a lot to believe about really how good this team is. And I think it's showing. Kurt Goldsberry had that thing that Skylar sent us today in the group text, where the Cavs are number 1 in PE in efficiency on offense. And I think they're the top 3 in defense, something like that. So that's a sign of a really good basketball team, obviously.
It definitely is. Everything is like 95% positive on this Cavs team. No, everything's perfect, but I am going to tell, like, the concern Skylar and I talked about the other night reared its head again tonight, and it hasn't hurt them yet, but like the big four getting in foul trouble consistently.
Yeah.
And it's Garland's been the worst offender. He's been in foul trouble what seems like every game. Tonight it was Mitchell with him. It's been Mobley other nights. Weirdly, Jared Allen doesn't get in foul trouble very much, and him being the center and protecting the rim, you would think he'd be the most likely one. But that's really been the only kind of thing to concern you a little bit, because eventually they're going to play a good team and they're going to need all those guys on the floor for 30 minutes, and they can't, play. I think the other night they, Mobley and Garland both played like 7 minutes in the first half because of foul trouble. That's going to sink them one night. So that's really the only thing I guess I saw tonight. And since you were on the show, wanted to get your opinion on that, what they can do or what we should look for as far as, trying to curb this foul trouble they seem to be getting in every game.
Well, definitely this weekend, right? These two games with Milwaukee coming up, you 1,000% need to make sure you have Evan Mobley on the floor because he's your best bet to guard Giannis. And the way things are going for the Bucks right now, that's the only guy you need to guard. But that could all change in an instant with guys like Lillard and players like that. But yeah, I think that's really the big thing. I do still have concerns about the backup big role. I do love that you can really play Garland. And you can play Mobley and Allen by themselves with the other guards and like the Merrills and the Okoros. But I do want them to really look at potentially getting another big. And that could be in December when the majority of the league starts to get traded, starts to be trade eligible. That could be the deadline. I don't think I'm worried about this Cavs team falling down the East standings by any means, as long as everyone's healthy to where they don't have time to go get one of those guys. I certainly think they do. And I don't have names for you at the moment, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, if you look at that, like there's got to be something where those guys were a little more calm and kind of let the game come to them, so they're not getting to those situations. And like you said, like Mobley was in foul trouble, barely played in the first half. The fourth quarter, he was unbelievable in that Laker game. He just couldn't be stopped. And so I would like to see a lot more of that consistently across the board for this team.
Yeah, no, me too. And it's when your team is rolling as well as the Cavs are. I don't want it to sound like I'm nitpicking, but that
you have to find a negative thing to say. It's not like you're saying a negative. The team's bad. You're just kind of like,
but like there's other things they're not doing perfectly that I don't think are a big deal. The foul trouble I do think is a big deal because like I said, when they play better teams, they need all their guys available to play as many minutes as they need them to play, basically. So, but otherwise, another really good performance, and yeah, I mean, and just kind of going back to the Magic, and because we're gonna see them a lot this year. Hopefully, Paolo is it gets on the mend, and the next time. Or by the time the Cavs play him, maybe in January, he's back healthy, ready to go. So definitely hope for the best for that. But otherwise, the Magic and the like way they match up against the Cavs, like I actually really like the way the Cavs match up against them. Like
I do too.
I think I really like the Magic's team, but I don't think the Cavaliers are a very good matchup for them.
You're saying that you think the Cavs could potentially struggle against Orlando?
No, I actually think the other way. I think
I'm just making sure I understand what you were saying.
Yeah. No, I think
because I agree with you. But
yeah. Because I think the teams that will give the Cavs the most trouble are the ones who have athletic, skilled wings, because that is maybe the one little gap in this roster. That's not so much the Magic. The Magic kind of have a similar roster to the Cavs, just not quite as developed as the Cavs is.
Yeah, I think a team like I know they're not playing very good basketball right now, but a team like Philly.
Yeah,
and we're not too far away from playing them in a couple of weeks. Could be a team that could give the Cavaliers fits just because, like you said, like the Paul Georges, the Caleb Martins, who are super physical. And will make and will like not fight you on the court, but just about. This New Orleans game next week on Wednesday, that's gonna be an interesting matchup. Not in the sense I don't think the Cavs are a better team; they definitely are. But the Zion Mobley matchup, the Brandon Ingram, who's played pretty decently so far this year. I like that team. They're going, of course, they're without DeJounte Murray, so that's good news. But yeah, those are going to be the teams that kind of give them trouble. Where Orlando is a team that, as much as I really like Jalen Suggs, I'm not worried about him dropping 28 again. against this team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And kind of springing off the teams, like the first team I think of the Cavs have problems with is Boston, which I mean, okay, like saying, yeah, they'll have trouble with the defending champions isn't very original, but Boston is the premier team at having skilled athletic wings and just kind of a tough matchup for the Cavs. The Cavs, that's one of the few teams I think Kenny Atkinson may have to adjust his rotation. He's been consistent with his rotation, sans foul trouble. He's been consistent with it. Boston is one I think he might have to, change up his substitution pattern to kind of mix and match against Boston's roster. But yeah, I mean, that's the type of team I'm thinking. Guys like that, you call out the Sixers, having a Paul George and then all the really good role player wings they have, I think is a good call. But again, that's all speculation for now because the Cavs haven't found a team that's a bad matchup for them yet.
Yeah. And yeah, Sydney brings up the point. I mentioned New Orleans. They're down 3 guys right now.
Yeah.
So that's good news for Cleveland. Here coming up in a couple weeks. And I might be doing a little home and home with my buddy who's a Pelicans podcaster. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But yeah, man, I think that tonight, just the way that the city is kind of reacting to this team is really cool. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned the crowd at the game, but walking through Wednesday night, we went to a restaurant right across the street from the arena and walking around town. Everyone's wearing Cavs stuff. I mean, I know the Browns suck right now.
Yeah.
But it's a huge football city and everyone's wearing Cavs stuff right now. And so I think that's been really cool.
I think it's cool too. I think it definitely helps when, baseball's over and the Browns stink and the Cavs are playing as well as anybody in the NBA. Generally where all of us are, even the most passionate fans are a little bit fickle. We'll jump on, jump on the team that's doing well, get a little bit more excited about it.
For sure.
But yeah, no. And it seems like this team in the city, it's building, right? It's kind of like that volcano that's starting to rumble, starting to like have things kind of come together a little bit. And I don't see this kind of stopping. I mean, they're not going to go undefeated all season, but I think it's a team, as long as there's not really bad luck with injuries, can keep this consistent momentum, win a lot of games, avoid losing streaks like for all season long.
Yeah, man, I agree. And I just want to make sure I point out one more thing before we move on and talk about these 2 Bucks games coming up. Mm-hmm. I know it's another guy we have a conversation about every episode. Evan Mobley again tonight. I'm looking right now at his basketball reference page, and his game scores are phenomenal. So every game, obviously, like the rest of the team, he's been in the positive as far as the starters. His turnover rates are down a lot compared to seasons past. To put in hindsight, in 6 games, he has like 15 turnovers. It's kind of nuts how well he's held onto the ball, especially in that new role. Obviously, we know he's going to get blocked shots every night, and he's only has 2 double-doubles, but he has so many 8-rebound, 9-rebound games with his 17, 20 points. Again tonight, double-double, 14 and 12, shot pretty well, 3 assists. Again, like I said about Karis LeVert a second ago, I don't have the other candidates for most improved player in front of me, but I have to think he's atop the conversation right now.
Yeah, I would think so, but that is an award that's so weird.
It's so dumb.
Like like we talked about before the season, it'll go to like a Wemby, and Wemby's a generational guy, but it always seems to go to like a second year guy who gets better from his rookie year, which is what's supposed to happen. So I don't know why
exactly.
that's an award. I mean, I think improved is when a guy has kind of consistently been one level of performance and then takes a step up or adds something to his game or something like that. And you're right. Mobley is a guy that I would think consistently, but like looking down up and down this cast team, you're talking about most improved. Why wouldn't a Sam Morril be most improved? Dude. That guy went from like literally on the edge of being out of the league to now like an important rotation guy. Same story for Ty Jerome. Why wouldn't guys like that be considered for an all improved award or an all improved first team? Whatever they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, I look forward to the other dumb award that Donovan Mitchell is going to be a part of, the Kia Clutch Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
I don't know. Has he had to be clutch yet? Because they've been winning these games pretty.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, probably not many opportunities other than really the Knicks game. There may have been technically some
that was Garland. Yeah.
Time. Yeah. And there may have been some clutch time in the Detroit game. It might have been just close enough to qualify. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, just flat out hasn't had. They've been so good in non-clutch times. They haven't even had the opportunity to be good in clutch times.
That's right. Yeah. You'll take it any day of the week. All right, dude. So. Coming up, starting tomorrow, 2 straight games against the Bucks. You have Saturday's game, and you have Monday back in Cleveland. But tomorrow they're on the road. Obviously, everyone knows the conversation about the Bucks right now. They're 1-4. They have not looked good at all. Giannis has played great, as you expect. Lillard's had 2 really, really bad games, and the rest of the team is kind of. I don't know, man. I've talked about this in the past. I'm not a Doc Rivers believer, and I really haven't been since the 2010 Celtics team that lost to the Lakers in the finals. I just feel like with him, we have this conversation all the time where it's like he has all these really good players and they never can put it together. But this team, I'm going to dig a little deeper here real quick as I pull up the stat sheet. So they're, like I mentioned, they are 1-4 in the East, on a 4-game losing streak. Their point differential right now on average is 8.6 points per game. And defensively, they are brutal, which the Bucks team that won the title just a few years ago was so good defensively. And the fact that it just dropped off. And I understand they lost guys like Drew Holiday, and I know they're down Chris Middleton right now. But I have a hard time believing, I'm not counting them out by any means because it's so early in the year, but I have a hard time believing the Bucks are much better than they're playing.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I am a big believer in the very best players of the league not betting against them. When things are going poorly, like I think Giannis, the way he's playing, is still at minimum
amazing.
A top 5 player in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Higher. He's been great. You're right about the defense. I was actually looking at some of the offense stuff with the Bucks, shooting 30% from 3. That's tough. Like when you have a guy like Giannis who posts up, go to the basket so much. I mean, it's like LeBron for all those years. You want shooters around him, right?
Yeah.
And you're as a team,
you still do.
As a team, you're shooting 30%. It's tough. They're
old for sure.
They're old. They're the other team is. I think they're getting beat pretty bad at the free throw line. Another team has had. They've been outshot at the free throw line. Just
Darvin Ham's catching strays from Scottie Pippen Jr.
It's funny, but they just not great for the Bucks. And this team doesn't have a lot of outs. Their out is they just need improvement from within and get Middleton back, and they might, right? If Giannis keeps playing the way he is, Middleton comes back and he's close to what he was even last year. He was really good in the playoffs last year.
He was.
And Lillard turns around. They got I actually really like some of the guys they signed in the offseason. I like, getting guys like Gary Trent and DeLon Wright and Taurean Prince when you don't have many options. Like, I actually kind of like their roster, except for the fact they might be getting long in the tooth, like real quick.
Yeah, I thought that guys like MarJon would be much better at this point in their career. And he's still good. I'm not trying to say like he's like shouldn't be in the league. But I thought he would be like leaps and bounds better. And he's still kind of the same player he was his rookie year almost.
Yeah.
Pat Connaughton is a guy I love. Obviously, that's my dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a good fit there anymore. I just think that he's, I think he's a serviceable NBA player. I just don't think Milwaukee's the best place for him anymore.
Yeah, and he's lost his shot too.
Yeah, really badly.
Which it's hard to be a effective role player on a Giannis team if you can't shoot.
Yeah, because you don't really need to play that. You need to play defense, but you know that you have the 2-time defensive player of the year sitting behind you, and you can kind of not put full pressure on yourself here. Yeah. It's not like Donovan Mitchell where he's like, it's okay, I've got Mobley and Allen behind me. And go ahead.
And I was going to say, all that's to say, I mean, we're really down on the Cavs. Let me reiterate. I think Giannis is one of, if not possibly the best player in the world still. Mm-hmm. I think playing them on back-to-back nights is going to be a great challenge for Evan Mobley. In particular, the Cavs as a whole, but Evan Mobley in particular, as we see, Evan kind of coming of age this year and everything. I'm going to love when he goes up against a Giannis or somebody in that class and really tests himself and sees how much better he really is now and how much better he can still become.
Yeah, I thought that I'll tell you this story real quick before we get out of here. On Wednesday, when I was at the game and LeBron and Mobley were guarding each other early in the game, mm-hmm. It was like everyone was like, oh, yeah, for you and me who are just like huge basketball nerds, mm-hmm. I know we kind of look at these things a little differently. Seeing like the fans who are like, oh yeah, LeBron and Giannis, LeBron and Mobley guarding each other, that's pretty cool. Me and you, I know would have been like, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, this is incredible. Like, this is what I want. Like, just a total basketball nerd in me, like talking like Mobley's probably my favorite player currently that's on the Cavs, and then LeBron's my favorite Cav ever, like everyone else. Sure. So I was like, this is incredible. This is so cool. And I'm like, he should really I don't think he'll retire. Obviously, as a Cav, I think he's probably, but I don't think he'll play his last game as a Cleveland Cavalier by any means. But if he did the whole like 1-day contract thing, I'd be cool with that. I'll do my best to be here when they retire the jersey. So,
yeah, I agree. I had one more thought. Sorry, totally.
No, please do.
On the socials today. A lot of infighting about who's the best Cavs point guard of all time with there's people. I think it was Hoops Hype that put like Mark Price as the best Cavs point guard of all time. Obviously, a lot of Kyrie stuff, and then talking. Can you project that possibly Garland? Will that be? I don't know. Were you in on any of that at all?
I wasn't. I was really not on my phone for once today. My wife would have been really proud of how little I looked at my phone today.
Yeah, no, just kind of funny. And I don't like comparing generations. I think it's kind of lame, but like I will always lean towards if somebody has a skill where they're one of the best to ever do it, such as Kyrie and ball handling, and then he has the biggest moment possibly in Cavs history. Like, I don't know how you can't say that that guy's the best.
Okay, so I will give you the greatest moment, but you're talking about having one of the best skills of all time. Mm-hmm. How many people are better free throw shooters than Mark Price?
That's very true.
Those are two, like, those are 1 and 2 for me. I mean, obviously, if you talk to me as like the basketball nerd that comes out, like people know how much I love like Derek Anderson and Terrell Brandon and like Bob Sura. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are the two. Could I see Garland getting to that point, especially if they win a title? Sure. But yeah, I also do think
let him have his career first. Have those conversations afterward.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I mean, right now you can make a case all the big four have all made their case to be in the All-Star game. Sure. So that's gonna be a really fun thing to watch as the year goes on. Yeah,
and especially with around the East again, very early in the season, most teams played 5-6 games. But a lot of attrition, a lot of, guys you would think would be all-stars, already hurts or not playing, or their teams aren't doing as well as they thought.
Well, Embiid's just trying to burn things down in Philly. He's like, you see those comments today?
No.
Oh my God. He did like a post-game presser. I know we're trying to close out the show. Mm-hmm. And he said something, so I think it's really effed up that I'm being treated this way, considering all the things I've done for this city.
Oh.
I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Those are the wrong fans you want to piss off. Like,
yeah. No, I think that's one of those situations. Probably nobody's right. Philly does give their athletes too hard a time.
Yes, they do.
And Embiid it's not the right thing or the smart thing to do and call them out.
Yeah, right. Didn't you see what they did to Ben Simmons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But before we get way off track here, let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Sure.
As always, thank you guys for hanging out, especially on a Friday night. Really cool. We got to see the chat kind of a little active tonight and see some people kind of stop by. So we definitely appreciate it. Skylar and I will be back tomorrow night, recapping the first of the 2 Bucks games. And then we've got one more before Election Day, and then they head down to beautiful New Orleans. I've actually never been to New Orleans. It's like a bucket list visit place for me. So
yeah, I've done it, so I don't need to go back. It wasn't my favorite, but I would love to go to a game there.
Yeah, I love Cajun food, so that's the only reason I'm like I should go there.
Sure.
But other than that, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. As always, if you are checking us out on your podcast app of choice, please take a moment to give us a nice subscription and review. It helps us out and goes a long way. And if you check us out on YouTube and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We do everything we can to put some great content up for you, and we're obviously on every single social media thing there is to find. Just search to Block the Shot to Stop, and you'll see us there. So on behalf of Kevin Lynch and Skylar Webker, this is Tim Daniel. Have a good one. We'll see you guys I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Go Cavs.